welcome to the Jim Bratton Podcast. Today we're talking to Kevin Voisin, and this is episode 3 of The Positive Power of Anxiety. Choosing your story. Let's begin. Kevin, alrighty. Accounting as an example of how we can apply this.
Well, I mean, accounting
as a business.
Accounting is born in anxiety. I mean, think about it. Like, why did they come up with accounting? Where's my money?
That's right.
And how much am I owed? And did I charge enough? And then am I going to make profit? Am I, and I don't care which aspect you look at it from, but accounting was born in anxiety and is a way to create certainty from uncertainty.
It's the measurement of, it is an artificial measurement of success.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's the tool.
It's the predictor, right? It's like if, then, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's funny is like there's this like whole kind of bro culture there, and I was part of it, right? I mean, I was a coach inside of it, but there's a whole kind of bro culture. It's like, I'm accountable, I'm disciplined, and what does it mean to be accountable? It just means you count. I mean, literally, it means
by
you
definition.
Count. Yeah, I mean, are you willing to count? Like, if you're accountable, you're willing to look at the truth. Here's the funny thing: people will say, "I'm accountable now," as if that means they're great, but you could be accountable and horrible. Like, I could be a guy who hasn't worked out in 5 years, and I wrote it down every day. I'm very accountable.
You're right.
Being completely useless.
You've kept the list. There we go.
I mean, remember, accountable just means that you're willing to look at the
willing to count.
Yeah, I had a client who was a billionaire, and he told me, he's like, you ever have that feeling where you don't want to look at your bank account, you just don't look, and he said I used to think that was just my nature. I just didn't like to look at it.
Right.
He said, and then I got a deposit of over $1 million. He said, so in my account, there was over $1 million. And he said, my bank app stopped working. He said, this is his first big check, right?
Yeah.
He said, my bank app stopped working. I called the bank, and I'm like, what's going on? I can't see my money. And they said, well, it seems like your app will let you see your account unlimited, but actually the app has a limit of 1,000 times. You can only see it 1,000 times.
So we've been looking at it.
he said, I had looked at it over 1,000 times. He just couldn't believe it.
It's like
if you love what's there, you'll look a lot.
It's like having a roll of bills in your pocket, man, 20 times a day. Wow, that's pretty good.
Right. Yeah. So being accountable is a great remedy to anxiety. Because why? Because you get data. And you get, delta. If you're worried about going broke, well, the first thing you need to do is define what is broke.
That's right.
Is broke zero? Is it like in college where 63 cents means I can still buy a girl tacos, so I'm rich? We all have different definitions of that.
That's right.
But hey, what is broke? Cool, it's this. All right, and then what do I need to accomplish to not be broke? Well, I think I need to make $5,000 a month or $2,000.
Whatever it is.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, how much is that a week?
Right.
Great. And then how much is that a day?
Right.
Great. Write that down. You'd be amazed at how simple, like if you need to make, and you're going to see that I'm cheating with the math here. But if you need to make $3,000 a month in a 30-day month, now we're dividing by 10 so I can actually do that.
Right.
That's not that bad.
That's right.
It's like $100 a day, right? So $100 a day. And so when you think, oh my gosh, I got to make $3,000, it's very overwhelming. There's that anxiety because that anxiousness knows, wow, how many times have I seen 3,000 in the account? Not very often. Right. But when I say, hey, I have to make 3,000 this month, and I have 30 days this month. Now, if it's work days, it's 22 days, right, on average. So I have 22 days. So what's 3,000 divided by 22? And I've just surpassed my math limit. But look, let me pull out the.
With the calculator, it's always with you.
Let me pull out the calculator in my pocket because that way I can prove my algebra teacher wrong that I do have a calculator with me all the time. Let's see.
That's right.
Well, no, it won't pull down. Oh, maybe my calculator has run its course. No, but I mean, so if you have $3,000 divided by 22 days, it's $136 a day.
Exactly.
And then you say, well, can I make $136? Have I done that? Yeah. Okay. How? Great. Go do that. Go move. Movement will solve anxiety. And I mean physical movement, like running or whatever, but also just movement towards a goal. Yeah, any kind of action will immediately put anxiety.
Well, you are so right, and that it is such a classic tool. Okay, you got a 20 item list for the day, maybe 100 items. It just depends how compulsive you are, me. And
multiple lists created by AI that I haven't even read.
Don't even go there, man. Oh man. Anyway. If I take it down to 3 items, maybe tiny items, and I do those, there is an accomplishment for the day. There's progress made. 20 items that I don't act on any because they're so overwhelming is absolutely no progress. And the list has probably gotten bigger.
My dad used to tell me this. I worked with my dad for years. It was such a blessing for me. I worked down the hall as a sales and marketing person. I was the one-man sales and marketing team and had a lot of success. And I came in just really frustrated one day, and I'm like, Dad, I just have so much to do. You know, it's really stressing me out. And he goes, Kevin, you're going to be fine. He's like, you want me to tell you something about yourself? He's like, I figured this out working with you over these last 10 years. Okay, yeah, sure. He says, if you have 500 things to do, you're going to work so intensely, and you're going to get 498 of those things done. And at the end of the day, you're going to be in my office with tears in your eyes telling me about those 2 things you didn't finish.
Exactly.
He said, but if the next day you have 2 things to do, you're going to be in my office all day telling me about how you're going to kill it, and neither of them is even going to get worked on.
There is that.
He said, I think there's a certain amount of pressure you just need. There's a certain amount. And this is, again, this relates really clearly to anxiety. I think a lot of people will listen to this conversation and they'll say, but you're not quoting medical texts and you're not understanding the chemistry. Remember, though, that you created all of that chemistry, that all of the tests about all of the things that are triggering this, the dopamine and the serotonin levels, and these are all tests of things that are happening in a moment that your body manufactures. It makes all of those things. Right now, sometimes things can go wrong. And
I'll go back. You may have a chemical or electrochemical propensity, but that's the reality. Deal with it.
That's your baseline.
Yeah.
No matter what, we all get our baseline.
That's right.
We all get our thing that we can do. My skeleton is roughly the same size as Michael Phelps's. Okay.
Yeah.
I am not as fast as him in the water.
No.
Right. But I could have been. But I didn't train. I didn't do that. Right. If you just put me with a random group of people, I'm kind of fast in the water. Why? Because I have a body. Like, my arms are 6'8". I'm not 6'8", but I have really long arms, right? Shorter legs. Like, I'm 6'4", and I only have a 32-inch inseam, which is crazy. And it's probably more like 31. I just buy 32 because you can't buy 31. It's very easy. Like, that's really cool if you're a swimmer. Like, it's a proclivity. The fact that my skeleton is very similar to Michael Phelps doesn't mean I've ever been in the running for a gold medal in the Olympics. Maybe I could have been.
But it means that you had the potential.
Right, but I did nothing with that.
Right.
And the fact that I maybe have a condition that could make me depressed all the time doesn't mean that has to be the reality either. Right. It is a reality, but that is not the end of the story. It's saying that I have this, right? Look, because guess what? Who's going to die? All of us. 100% of the people on the earth. Everybody hearing this, you and me, we all die. And none of us know when. I also can endorse that. We just don't know. There's a date written in heaven, and you don't know what it is.
That's right.
That's the one label you don't get to see, is that expiration date on your own self. And the question is, what are you going to do with that? And taking the next action, right? There's so many people. So anxiety. Imagine that you're walking down the street and you fall in a hole, right? So for whatever reason, who knows? You're just walking down the street and now you're 6 feet in the hole.
Right.
That sucks. Like, you're hurting. Maybe it's muddy and gross down there, and people in that moment will get super anxious. Oh my gosh, how did I fall down there? They'll either want to know how this happened, but more often, and this is terrible, is blame. They want to know who did this. Right? This is the lowest form of human
is looking around for someone to blame.
Yeah, it's who did this. Like, who cares? You're 6 feet underground. Like, what? Whoever did it, you can't even beat them up until you get up there.
Find them.
Yeah, they're not down there. That's if they push you. But we do that instinctively. Who did this to me? Right? Yeah. No amount of knowing how you fell in the hole or who pushed you there, which is usually nobody. Usually it was you that you
That's right.
out,
Yeah.
will get you out of the hole.
Yeah.
And what's really crazy is if you sit in the bottom of that hole and just think really hard about how you fell there and how unfair this is and how society systematically did this to you because it put holes on the street you live on and not the street other people live on.
Right. The unfairness.
Guess what? You're just going to churn anxiety. You remember, you are the chemical factory. Yes, you also are the chemical consumer. Okay, yes.
There we go.
But you are the factory. And so if you live in that churn, you have to consider that maybe you like that churn. Maybe, not everybody, maybe Sometimes you are very comfortable with those negative thoughts, and you turn them extra because you're comfortable. You don't know who you are happy. You don't know who you are.
Well, there is that.
Empowered.
And those, I got to tell you, those, I call them circular thoughts. If they get to be too intense, nothing can penetrate. And you've got to do something to get out, typically doing one thing for success. One successful task may be enough to break out of that. But let me ask you something, too. And this has been on, we touched on social media. And you just mentioned about sometimes anxiety is a place to hide by sort of self-diagnosing or actually being hard diagnosed.
Everyone knows the language of diagnosis now, so like there's no getting away from whether someone's really been. It's crazy to me the amount of psychological language. Like I would coach people in the past, and they'd be talking about their problems, but now it's like, oh, this is my attachment anxiety, and this is my. And I'm like, whoa,
whatever happened? And then
TikTok's not your doctor. Like that, everything's a spectrum, and just because you watch 5 TikTok videos doesn't mean that's you. Maybe you are, but
and the idea of the oversharing in social media. I think that sometimes getting well or living your life has to be it has to be a personal journey because it's you. Other people can lend assistance, maybe, but by oversharing, it becomes as if that makes it okay. Am I being too harsh on that?
No. I don't think so but I think there's an invisible hand in marketing. In social media, and that's the marketer. And I don't think you're wrong, but I think it's actually neither of the people's true fault. Okay, so you overshare in a post about you have the wrong shoes. Well, guess what? Those shoes might be perfect for me because they have a different shaped foot, right? You overshare. I consume it. I think, oh man, I have the wrong shoes too. I'm also going to get blisters, so I'm never going to run or whatever.
Right.
But remember, with social, and this is, and I'm part of the problem because I'm a marketer, right? I've done a ton of marketing. The invisible hand in the social media landscape is the marketer who wants you to buy something.
That's right? The motivation there.
And so it used to be. We remember a time, and it's funny because they're talking today in the headlines. They're talking about bringing MySpace back. The old school.
Oh, I remember. Yeah. Yes, of course I do.
But the way social media used to work is whatever the most recent post is, it sits at the top. And then whatever the oldest post is, sits at the bottom. And so if I opened up social media, I would just see what my friends had done kind of in real time, right? Like hey, here's the last hour or whatever. That changed with the algorithms. And with AI, it's changed. Because now there is a dog food advertiser who has said to Facebook, please find someone who wants to buy dog food.
That's right.
And Facebook's algorithms and AI knows if I show Jim a picture of a puppy and then a picture of a girl crying holding a puppy and then a picture of someone hungry and then a picture of a dog just like the one he has in his house and then an ad for pet food that makes his dog happy,
right?
He's got a 33% chance of clicking on that ad. And so now it's not just real time what's happening. We're picking posts to encourage a behavior. And what is that behavior built on? Most frequently, anxiety. You're scared your dog won't be healthy. You're scared that you won't be healthy. You're scared. Go look at ads. Ads are about status, and most of the time they're making you fear. Well, if you don't have this, right? I mean,
most of the time they lead to a sense of inadequacy.
Yeah.
Or they address a sense of inadequacy.
Well, of course, because that was what makes you take action. So what the marketer is doing to you unconsciously, and this is why I think the positive power anxiety. What the marketer is triggering in you unconsciously, which is this fear of missing out or this fear of being in danger, or this fear, you can do it on purpose.
Yeah, okay.
You can just decide, hey, I don't want to miss out. I want to be great in one way or another, right? I remember that Kobe Bryant was like this, famous for his work ethic. And so I don't remember who the other basketball player is, but Kobe Bryant, he gets to the gym early.
Right.
And Bryant has obviously been there for like a long time. And so he decides to work out. And he's like, well, I'm not going to quit before Kobe because like he's been there before me. But it doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen. And finally, after like 2 hours, 3 hours, he stops. And then Kobe goes for another hour. And the guy sits in the stands to see how long he's going to go. And so they play the game, Kobe wins, of course. And afterwards they're out and he says, man, why did you work out that long? And he said, because you were there. He's like, I saw you walk in. And he said, I'm not leaving till an hour after him. And he's like, yeah, but I stayed for like 2 hours. He's like, yeah, I was a little disappointed in that, but it was just, that was it. He just used that anxiety of like, hey, how do I know I'm better than him? And that is arbitrary, right? Does that really mean? But yeah, but that's the thing. Like, use the arbitrary stuff for you instead of having it use you.
Well, we're really on to something right now, and we won't have a lot of time to talk about it. But I think it's something we can address next time in detail, and that is the anxiety of inadequacy or potential inadequacy being the force. I hate to say self-improvement, that's an ancient term, but a force for self-improvement, and in your case, achieving something by, anyway, can lead you to that. Am I off the track?
I think there's two things, and I think this is a big one for social media too, because my son's 11 and he won't be a runner because he'll never be the fastest. He's like, I'm never going to be as fast as Usain Bolt.
Of course.
I'm like, yeah, that's a great reason to never run in your life ever.
Right.
But socials allow us to compare ourselves to the absolute 1 in 8 billion, 1 in 100 billion.
That's right.
That could be dangerous because in the old days we didn't have that. Were you the fastest in your class? And then if you were, you found out if you were fastest in school. And then maybe in your town you would find out. But so when used in comparison to other people, this can be really dangerous, and it will lead to more anxiety and more. Because guess what? Out of 8 billion people, you ain't the best. In
always
almost anything,
somebody,
right? Yeah, there's always somebody, and there's probably like one thing on the earth you can do better than everyone. Percent chance that you know what that is, and it comes out to where someone wants to make a post about it, pretty small, right? You're probably not even going to know what that thing is. If, however, you're having anxiety about, hey, I want today to be better than yesterday. If you're measuring backwards, we talked about accountability.
Right.
If that accountability is backwards and saying, hey, I could do more this week than I did last week, that can be super useful. If you have an anxiety that, hey, I earned $1,000 last week, but I think I'm capable of 2,000, and it's Wednesday, and you haven't even made the 1,000. That can be really useful because that's you against you, and guess who benefits when you win? You.
That's right.
And guess who learns the lesson if you lose? You. So that's good. That's a good eustress. That's a good kind of like, all right, let's go do this. Like find out. Everyone's afraid to fly, because I learned to fly as a sport pilot for a while, and my instructor said, flying is extremely rewarding, but it's absolutely unforgiving. So it is. It's really great to fly, and if you make the wrong mistake, the ground will hit you.
That's right.
You will hit that ground. I remember I had a hard time landing the plane. I was very bad at landing, and every time we would get close, I would rev up and go around.
Yeah.
And I remember my instructor said, "Listen, I get it. It's scary, right? Like you have to turn the plane off, and you have to trust that the wheels are going to do their thing." He says, "But here's what's going to happen. Either you're going to learn to trust yourself in the plane, and you're going to land this thing on purpose, or we're going to keep doing this until you run out of fuel, and then
you have to
find out." He's like, "Then you have no control because then we just fall." He said, "So I would prefer if you do this on purpose."
So there's only so many go-arounds.
Yeah, he says, eventually we're going to run out of gas, and then the universe decides what position you're in at that exact moment. He said, or you could do it on purpose. And that was a fun thing. He said, flight instruction is the only job where people pay you to try to kill you, and your job is to not let them and keep them excited to come back.
Well, that is an interesting place to end this session. Kevin Voisin, Coach Kevin, as we talk about the positive power of anxiety, question mark, we think. I think we're getting closer to maybe eliminating that question mark as we get further into this. And those of you that are watching, listening, we'll be back with another episode. Thanks again for listening, watching our behind-the-scenes video. And this is the Jim Bratton Podcast. Kevin Voisin, Coach Kevin, thank you very, very much. Thanks again to you all. Thanks again for joining us on the Jim Bratton Podcast. Our theme music is by Paulo Castillo, mastered by Chris Criticos. I'm Jim Bratton. Thanks again.